Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here on the Auto Wisdom YouTube channel. Today I have the absolute pleasure of sitting behind the wheel of this beautiful 2019 Mercedes-Benz W222 S450. Now, the Mercedes S-Class is the benchmark in the luxury segment of land yachts for the road, for many good reasons, and that is no exception, with this particular example finished off in a gorgeous shade of magnetite black, which is honestly more of a really deep gray color as opposed to a literal black over this coffee espresso brown interior. The W222 generation of the Mercedes S-Class has widely been regarded as one of the most successful generations of the S-Class ever built, and even though design could be considered subjective in a number of cases, one of the most beautifully built Mercedes-Benz vehicles on the road today. The exterior design of this vehicle has a presence that is so executive, it is so high class, it just oozes opulence in its design, and I think it's something that so many people have come to appreciate that are in the market for this type of vehicle. When you look at some of the competition, such as the BMW 7 Series and even the Audi A8, those cars are so understated, and truthfully, they feel like an extension of their lesser models. Now, this particular S450 is a 2019 model year, which is actually a facelift for the W222. Starting off in 2018, Mercedes-Benz did offer a mid-cycle refresh for these cars, which features an updated grille and front fascia. It also includes updated headlights and tail lamps that are full LED, and some interior design changes as well, most notably with an updated infotainment system. Now, that does bring me to the interior of this car, which is class leading at the time and still to this day is quite beautiful. We have so much luxury inside of this car, from the dashboard that sort of curves and flows into the door panels, to the 12.3 inch gauge cluster, this long elongated tablet style that displays so much information and still looks fairly modern, although the thick bezels on the screens do date it somewhat, to the beautifully leather wrapped steering wheel with the brown contrast stitching, the door controls, the alloy touch points, the gorgeous air vents, the analog clock, ambient lighting. There's so much to ooh and ah at with this car's interior. In the back, this particular example is fitted with the premium package, so it has the heated and cooled seats with massaging functions. It also has power sunshades in the rear for the rear occupants, as well as the rear windscreen. And then we have a large panoramic style glass roof that really allows so much natural light to flow into the interior and make the car feel quite spacious. And let me tell you guys, it very much is. These 22-way adjustable power seats are incredibly comfortable, and they're so plush to sit in, especially when you're activating the massaging features on a hot summer day like today. You're throwing on the cooled seat. There's so much driver comfort, prioritized with a car like this, that you just can't help but smile in appreciation of how much engineering and thought was put into this car. Now let's go ahead and throw the car into sport mode in good old Auto Wisdom fashion and give it a quick launch. Yeah, this car gets up decently quick. So power is sourced from a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 engine. It is codenamed the M276, and it's used in a wide variety of Mercedes-Benz models. Now, for the 2018 model year and the mid-cycle refresh, Mercedes did drop the standard equipped V8 out of the S550 in favor of this more efficient twin-turbo V6 unit, and it's really not a bad engine. It sounds pretty decent, although in the S-Class it is quite muted due to prioritizing reduced noise levels for the interior and reduced NVH overall. And in addition to that, it provides decent power that gets this 4,500 pound curb weight car up to speed with a relative amount of ease. Now, the M276, as mentioned previously, is 3 liters in displacement. It's dual overhead cams with 4 valves per cylinder, all aluminum block design, twin scroll turbochargers, air to water intercooling. So it's a power plant that I would say is fitting of a car such as the S-Class. Now, do I wish this car still came equipped with that lovely, torquey and brutal Mercedes V8? Yes, I do to some degree. But for the sake of compliance with regulations, fuel efficiency, emissions, I can very much accept the fact that this twin-turbo V6 gets the job done. Now, that power is sent through a 9-speed automatic transmission that Mercedes-Benz calls the MCT, and it's pretty decent. Relatively quick gear changes that are fairly snappy with these nice paddle shifters on the steering wheel, but it's not perfect. If I'm comparing this to something like the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission in a BMW or a 7 Series equivalent, it's not as smooth. You can definitely tell when the shift points are occurring. You can also tell when the car is making gear changes, and occasionally you will notice that the car struggles to find what gear it wants to be in. I don't know if 9 gears is just too many, or if this is just perhaps not the best implementation of a 9-speed automatic transmission. But if I am really nitpicking, on occasion, I do notice that I can feel the transmission stumbling every now and then, and that does kind of take away from the, luxury driving experience that this car has to offer. In terms of handling, it's definitely not as athletic as a BMW 7 Series. I think this is in large part due to the curb weight of the car. Now, this chassis features a combination of, aluminum in addition to high-strength steel, particularly for a lot of the crash structures and where the suspension components are, wheel hubs, carriers, things of that nature. The engineers incorporated aluminum to reduce the curb weight. Now, that still amounts to a 4,500 pound, overall weight of the vehicle, as mentioned earlier, and that's not light by any means. And if we are, for the sake of comparison, comparing to something such as a BMW 740i equivalent, a car weighs about 300 pounds less and does implement the carbon core chassis technology, which does make the car feel a little more athletic. So in terms of handling, it's decent for what it is, and obviously this is by no means a sports car. It was never designed to be. But for what it is, you do feel that it does take a little more effort to accelerate this car up to speed. And in addition to that, there is a little more slop in terms of the chassis and the overall handling when you are taking this car through turns. But really, is that something you're going to be prioritizing in a car like this? Probably not. So it doesn't really matter all that much in my opinion. Now, the S-Class uses a fancy combination of multi-link suspension up in the front and the rear. It's a 5-link setup in the front, all aluminum, and then a 4-link setup in the rear. In addition to that, this car also features adaptive damper control with air suspension. And what this allows for is ride height adjustability dependent on a number of different driving modes and driving conditions. And in addition to that, the adaptive dampers also can adjust on the fly to prioritize either sportiness or driver comfort depending on the mode that you are in. And there are a number of different driving modes based on the drive mode selector here near the center console. I really do love the interior of this car. It's so comfortable. It's very well insulated, particularly driving it at night. The car with the ambient lighting is so beautiful to look at. It really does feel like peak luxury driving experiences. And this is a modestly equipped or configured S-Class from the factory. It doesn't have a whole lot of options, to be quite honest with you. But even as it is, in its relatively bare configuration, there's a lot to like in the interior of this car. Now, the Mercedes-Benz UX infotainment system is definitely an interesting point of topic or discussion with this car. It is definitely not as intuitive to use as something like a BMW iDrive system. I do appreciate the large 12-inch displays and all the information that they do provide to the driver, but when it comes to actually navigating the infotainment cluster or the unit itself, especially when you're driving, it is very distracting. It is not super intuitive. I mean, it's definitely learnable, but in a lot of ways, there is a lot of stuff that needs to be figured out in terms of how to quickly navigate through menus, how to quickly, adjust certain features in the car and activate certain things. And there aren't a whole lot of shortcut menus that can get you to quick features that you would like to access on a quick basis. This particular S450 is riding on a set of beautiful 20-inch wheels, which, funny enough, are actually the base model Maybach S650 wheels that could be equipped for the S-Class standard as well. And they look incredible. But I will also say, if I have to nitpick and critique, that there is definitely a drop in the ride quality and a lot more NVH that's coming through the cabin than I would personally like to feel in a car of this caliber, due to those 20-inch wheels and the sort of rubber band configuration of the tires. I do think if this car was riding on something smaller with perhaps a tire that featured a beefier sidewall, it would definitely help to increase the overall driver comfort. And while this car still rides very smooth, I do have it in the comfort mode. Even then, I still feel quite a bit coming through the road surface into the car. And with a car like this, I would prefer the car to ride more so like a cloud and to kind of just waft over bumps, almost in a way that is imperceptible to the driver or to passengers that are riding with you. Let's go ahead and give this thing another pull. Yeah, there's no shortage of power with this car. It is very quick. Feels right on par with BMW's B58 engine in the 740i. And with 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, it's plenty to get this car up and running. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please make sure to go ahead and leave a thumbs up on the video, as well as subscribe to the channel if you are new here. With all that being said, I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.